Alright, what's up everybody? It's Lids and we're back for some Pyre Community RITE Night, which means of course some good old-fashioned multiplayer Pyre, featuring first and foremost none other than the members of the RITE Club Discord server, the place for all things multiplayer Pyre. If you're interested in getting more involved in that multiplayer Pyre action, the best way to do so is of course by joining said Discord server, which you can do by clicking on, I have a feeling I misspelled that because I did, hold on. That's the link right there. It's how you join the RITE Club, but those of you in chat, you are not off the hook. No, because you see the red circle with the white L below chat. You click on that, you'll find all the various requests that you can make today, including things ranging from selecting players' exiles, mastery, songs, arenas, even Titan stars are all fair game. So, without further ado, let's hop into versus mode here. And let us set ourselves to our defaults. And let me know, chat, if there's anyone who would like to get us started today. Let me get caught up a little bit here. I see you guys have been rather talkative already. Let's see. What did I miss? What did I miss? The new Lonelier Minstrel is well, dead now. What number minstrel were we on? That is sad news, I'm afraid, but at the same time, I suppose his days were numbered from the start. And thank you, Core, for the sub. Very much appreciated. Let's see. Looks like Anor challenged Core. Core appears to have accepted said challenge. He says he hasn't played in a while, but I think, yes, Core and Anor looks to be the two that we have lined up here. Okay, awesome. Let me just get Steam friends up real quick. There we are. Okay, let's find them. Anor. And, oh, let me unplug my controller before that causes problems. And Core. Where'd he go? There he is. There we go. Should have those two on their way. Let us know in the meantime if there's anything we'd like to see between those two, request-wise. Also, while I'm at it, I should hop into said Discord group real quick. Let's see. Huzzah? Hazoo. Okay. Uh-oh. Is Steam doing Steam things? Steam?
Yes.
Oh no. Core, I mean, I don't think I've gotten either of you in yet. Is it not working for you either, Core?
No. It crashed.
Darn. Okay. Attempt number 2. Hey, Eritor, how's it going? We are totally not immediately running into Steam problems. No, look, you just totally heard the sound effect from someone joining. So we're fine. Don't worry about it. Was that a Nor we just got?
Crashed for me again.
Uh-oh. Okay. At the moment, we have a Nor. The same cannot yet be said of Core. But that may change. That may change. Fingers crossed. Steam itself is crashing, or I don't know,
No,
is this...
just remote play for me. It crashed again.
Could it be worth trying to restart Steam real quick and see if that gets it in a better mood?
Give me a sec.
I mean, it does mean we have plenty of time to scheme something up if there is anything we'd like to see between these two to get things started. All set? Let's see. I see you. I will invite you. That sounded promising.
I'm in.
You appear to be in? Alright, can someone just double check as to which controller they are on?
I'm player 2.
Core's player 2 and Nora's player 1? Alright. Let's see. So, in that case, I know I just said that out loud, but what we said, Nora player 1, Core 2? And in terms of triumvirates, what is the preference here? Nor did throw the... I mean, does throwing the gauntlet inherently make you player 1? As the challenger rather than the challengee? What triumvirates would we like today? Apparently. I guess so. Loser picks stage as long as you haven't won on it. Oh man, now they're coming up with their own rules as well for this... I don't know, this engagement in which they find themselves. Random first stage. If you are the one to throw the gauntlet, then you get a bonus to initiative. Unless, of course, you... No, I don't know enough about D&D to, to have a witty remark. Okay. I mean, usually, you two would go Nightwings and Pyre Hearts respectively. However, at times... Core offended our scribe. What? What? I mean, do we go Nightwings, Pyre Hearts, or is this too similar coloration-wise? At times we've said as much.
I mean, I'll be Pyre, so she's not gonna be Nightwings. But I can be Chastity as well.
Core says he's up for either Chastity or... Alright, we'll throw you on Chastity then, Core.
Yeah, put me on Pyre Hearts.
Core, Pyre Hearts, and Nor now saying Chastity. Oh, okay. Okay. Mixing it up a little bit. Would that make it the only time we've ever seen a Nor on Chastity? I feel like usually what? True Nightwings or Timbers is her backup? Okay, so I believe that means we should be all set here. Let's just take a quick double check at our controls here. So I feel like there is a non-zero chance this might be slightly different than what you two had anticipated. So does that mean that a Nor is standing up for Phaler, whereas Core is defying him? Is that the backstory here? Is that the context?
Let me see if I can get to the context.
I don't know. I don't
We're
know
just
that.
testing Void. Bottle of Void.
Okay. Okay.
Baylor said, quote, void bad, end quote. I said, you bad. And he said, no, you. And then Honor suggested us fight. And I said, quote, a duel will not do. We meet in bracket.
Okay. Okay. So some tension has been building, I see. Much like the Titan Balanthius, you shall be deleted by Jomia's power. Alright, well, let us see then. Let us see.
Greetings, exiles. You stand upon the Isle of Kael'mar. At stake here in this rite is your salvation. Let us see which one of you is more deserving. The chastity stand prepared. Fire heart stand ready. Who shall conduct this rite?
And so we find ourselves at the Isle of Kael'mar for the first of the showdowns in this dramatic fixture between Honor and Core. No requests from chat, so you're free to take whatever you'd like on this occasion. I mean, are we are we actually doing this like it's a tournament?
Choose someone.
Oh, yeah, we probably should.
Apparently, then.
Oh,
Apparently.
yeah,
What?
I'll
Do
send yeah.
send to Failure in that case, if you guys don't mind.
Just
Oh.
the first, not teams, like just first pick, right? We do it like blind paired picks, right?
Alright then. So it seems as though we have a makeshift tournament-like encounter here. Matchup between Honor and Core. As we were just hearing, there was some tension rising. Honor eventually threw down the gauntlet, and Core stared back into her eyes, picked up the gauntlet, and said, "Game on." And so now Honor is sending her choice to Failure and locking it in. That has now been locked in, so Honor can take it. So that means that as Core has also locked in his first choice, they cannot counterpick each other. So Honor went for a Prayer Beads Pamitha. Again, Core's choice here also locked in. He goes for an Orez Scale Gilman. Now they will once again scheme up, come up with a plan, and send their next selection to Failure as a third party to hold them to their selection and prevent them from counterpicking one another, or at least Core specifically counterpicking whatever Honor chooses here.
Well,
Honor says she does not remember the order of picking, as in the order in which you planned to pick, or something entirely different. Just lock, pick 1, pick 2, pick 3. Seems that is the approach we are taking here on this occasion.
Yeah, we're just locking in paired, so we each do our first pick, we each lock in our second pick, and then third.
Alright, pick 2 is locked for both players in that case. Anor, you may proceed. And in this case, she chooses to follow up her Prayer Beads Pamitha with a speedy Jodariel. Kor has also locked in his second selection. He, of course, initially began with the extra jumping distance on Gilman, but now follows that with a Leeching Bertrude. Now both players selecting their third and final exile. Once they've both locked in, we will proceed. And now they have decided that final selection. In Anor's case, she will round out the team
Tizo.
with the Webbed Lanthorn Tizo. Whereas on Kor's side, he goes for extra starting Pyre life on Snadra. Alright, and the sides are set. So let the game begin. Series of banishments. It's Snadra to Bertrude. Bring back her teammates here, although they quickly go down, only to be quickly brought back. Bertrude, unblockable throw, gets off just in time here, although cut short for just 16 damage. Anor first to it, but quickly banished. Back here with Tizo, though. Tizo suddenly by himself. Not a situation he likes to be in, as he is generally not going to be Anor's preferred attacker, you would have to imagine. Kor looking to follow up his previous crone throw here with another one, though once again it is cut short here, this time for 20. Though takes Gilman in all the way for 15 damage on the plunge, does mean that he is now gone for this round. Looked as if Kor was trying to go for a throw rather than a plunge on that occasion, but his momentum took him in nonetheless. Pamitha, not quite quick enough to avoid the defenders there and make it into the Pyre. Kor, two-pronged approach. Snadra on the other end, somehow avoids banishment, but does eventually end up going down there. Jody, now Anor, on both sides. Jody up top, and it is Jody, going in for 30 here. And no prayer beads on Jody. That was Pamitha's talisman, so that means Anor is now down 1 exile. Wiped out, at least temporarily, many of Kor's teammates there. With that big implosion. They can bring them back quickly by stepping on their portraits, and suddenly it is Kor with the humongous numbers advantage here. No one back to defend against this throw. And not only is that 30 damage on this occasion, also the 15 leech quite relevant as well. Anor now on the counterattack. Blocked at the last second. Switches into Tizo though, clearing out some space, but he gets banished at the last second there. Bertrude. Her jump was short, but she had enough time to follow it up and walk that one in for a 30 damage plunge. Pamitha hard pushes her way in. And once again, as we were saying, Kor getting that leech whenever he scores with Bertrude, so before that score, Kor had fully healed himself back up. Jody switches over, but gets it back. Knocks back the defender. And for a second there, you wondered. That split second of hesitation if Anor was looking to throw it in with Jody, but decided perhaps not enough time to do so. And Core throws this one in quickly for 11, with Gilman now means that any score would do. Uses his Crone's Loot to turn Honor's defenders into defenseless howlers, setting up the winning throw.
The Pyre heart prevailed. It was as though the scribes themselves stood by their side.
GG.
Thus end this night's proceedings.
Alright, and there we have our first match.
Until the next rite.
Our first rite of the night. 1-0 for the time being. Do we have a set length of this fixture? Is this a best out of 5? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now Honor picks stage.
Honor now has the choice of location. But I believe you both had said that the losing player, although they get to choose the location, they cannot pick a place where they have won previously. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, obviously not a factor here just yet, but may prove to be the case later on. Honor chooses the Spring of Jomir. Alright. Are we going requestless with all other aspects? Is that the idea? In the name of competition?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. In which case, let's turn off the sermon intro, but let's hop in. Glorious Vision. Oh, well, we can do a song, though. We can still do a song. And it is fitting to do the song on this occasion, I would think. Given how it is the theme of the Fate, and this is the Fate's home arena. It's only fitting.
The chastity shall confront the Pyre hearts. Welcome. Who shall conduct the rites?
Alright, so once again, we will see both players selecting their initial character by sending those specifications into Failure. They are immediately locked. So they will make those choices here and now. And already we are seeing some adjustments being made on Honor's side. Swapping over to a Nutrition Stick Volfred. No rekindling there, but does have the Numbing Gust. Core, we did see him take Snadra previously. However, not with the Power Casting Mastery, nor with the Power Casting Talisman, so same character, but different setup. They're now, perhaps, going to have to make some adjustments here for their second character, as neither player has gone with the same setup that they began with last time.
Decided yet?
They are now locked in for the second pick. Honor began with a Nutrition Stick on Volfred, and is complementing that with a Meta Jody, quick banishing throws. On Core's end, it'll be an Exploding Gilman, once again for both players. Characters that we saw them choose in the previous match, however, not with the same setup. Players deciding how to set up that final member of their team. They may have initially had plans for how that last character was going to be created, but
Go.
Now, that may have changed now that they have considerably more information about what their opponent is planning here. It appears that perhaps Anor is ready, as she is currently moving her controller all over the place, whereas Core may still be scheming. We are now locked in for that third and final choice. Both players ready to go here. Anor gets rekindling on Tizo, as we were saying before, although she did have a sap already, but she did not take any rekindling on that sap, so making up for that a little bit by taking some on the talisman on Tizo. Speaking of rekindling, it appears as though Core will be doing that in the more traditional way, from the sap mastery, and the effects of a numbing gust from that Typhoon bottle. Anor waiting to get some of her teammates back as they got banished quickly. Core aggressively using the exploding sapling with Manly to banish many of Anor's exiles here. Combining that with Snadra's powerful power casts, Anor has the danger of the extra blink distance from that nutrition stick, putting it to good use there. Does mean no Volfred now, though. And that shoulder smash from Snadra got rid of the last of Anor's defenders. Oh, and Core waits to jump over, as he could only do that when Anor got someone back, because she did take Numbing Gust. Now Core is Snadra-less, and Anor is back at full strength, exiles-wise. Banishing throws from Jody. Oh, but that was the one thing she couldn't banish, was the sapling. Anor actually defenseless here, but Jody comes back in time and retrieves the orb. Has the infinite stamina from going through the portal. Oh, and look at that, that well-timed Gilman return there. Somehow, he was the difference between Jadariel scoring and getting stopped. Jody again. Through the portal she goes. And once again, that infinite stamina only temporary, but not enough to make it past the wall of defenders that time. Sakor throws in for 23 here. A little bit of extra damage on his work on that occasion. Jody, back to Tizo. Tizo sets up a portal in a relatively dangerous position. Core moves over his defenders into position just in time to thwart Jody's attack. Gilman, his throw blocked and short. Anor back in possession. Jody not only sidesteps the cast, goes through the portal for the quick counterattack here, cutting that throw slightly short for 26 damage. Snadra not quick enough to stop that sapling from being placed, and down she goes instead. Jody not quick enough to avoid Core's sapling. Both players being very aggressive with that placement. Snadra somehow avoided getting banished initially, but now has gone down. Up to Gilman here, his throw does still land. Snadra trying to find that angle around the sapling to safely banish Anor's exiles without having that cast bounce back in her face. Extra mobility from Volfred's nutrition stick is not enough to avoid banishment, though. Jody through the portal, infinite stamina, but she's cornered. Snadra. Stutter steps. The throw, just enough on it. A little bit of leech as well to extend Core's lead. Snadra, not good enough this time. Portal is set for Jody. Oh, but sniped from Snadra, even when seemingly she was hiding safely behind that sapling. Volfred. Oh, and perhaps did not see that sapling still placed there. Snadra. Stopped. but also took out Jody in the process. Wolfred just trying to sidestep Snadra repeatedly, until eventually, perhaps, a window will open. But Core says no. Slowed down by that numbing gust. And that bought enough time for Nor to make a defensive recovery here. Now Wolfred on the counterattack. Not for long. And Nor momentarily defenseless. And finding herself in that position momentarily once again.
The orb is up.
Jody. Infinite stamina. But perhaps looking to refresh that. Avoids the exploding sapling, and just barely enough time to get off that 30 damage throw, as I believe that was Gilman spawning right on top of her. Would have banished her if she was not quicker.
Banished one and all.
Now a Nor without any defenders until Tizo's return. Gilman. Not this time.
The orb.
But this time, yes. 11 on that one. Now, we have seen both players take rekindling of a different variety. And in Nora's case, from a talisman, and Core's case, from mastery. But it does mean that both players will have second life bars here. So though both players starting to drop relatively low, we are still not in range for either player to have a winning score just yet. Gilman. Taken out by Jody, but takes her out as well. Snadra an opening. Numbing Gust is active, but she has enough time. And there is that rekindling. Now Anor on her second life bar. And it does mean that it is now possible for Core to finish this with one more score. And Core did also manage a little bit of leech in the process. So for that reason, Anor now needs at least a couple of scores before she can trigger Core's rekindling. Core is still on his first life bar here. Jody looking to time that trip through the portal. Find an opening in between Core's defenders, but Core is now once again in possession and on the attack with Gilman. Trying to snake his way around through the wall of auras. Patience pays off, but it's not enough yet. Though at this point, one more score for Core, surely all he would need. So Anor running out of time. Wolfred, not enough range on that blink to avoid the banishment. Similar for Snadra. Jody, unable to sprint momentarily, and that is all it takes for Core to set up the banishment. Core now moving in with Gilman. He is taken out. Jody sidesteps that cast through the portal. Speeds past Jody, or rather speeds past Snadra, but not quite enough to get in for the score there. Orb nearly inadvertently hits Anor's Pyre. Fulfred thought about it, but instead gives it up to his teammate, Tizo, who is then taken out. But Jody recovers defensively. Now an opportunity to move in offensively with that infinite stamina. Banishes one. Make it two. Now three. But Gilman returns. Hiding within the safety of that sapling. Jody trying to knock him out of that safe area. Now it's Snadra. She's banished. Now perhaps up to Gilman. But Anor recovers. With Tizo. And only Tizo. Finds a little bit of safety going through the portal, as does Jody. She's quickly banished. Snadra. Room here. Both characters banished on that occasion. Jody has enough time and space for a 30 damage throw. Remember, Core still on his first life bar here. But not much life left on that initial round. Oh, and Anor thinking about setting up that dangerous portal directly on top of Kor's Pyre, perhaps. Bit of a lose-lose situation for Kor in that case, unless Kor can find a way to score this. Anor defenseless now, and perhaps that may be something he can look to do here. Gilman is stopped. Now Kor back in possession. But the portal is no longer in the dangerous position that we anticipated it might have been in later. Gilman blocked. Vanishes and banished. Ulfred well timed on the shields there. Snadra and Jody race to the orb. Jody wins that race. Difficult position there for Anor to get the orb as it is stuck behind her portal, but she does find a way to get to it. Ulfred cannot avoid Snadra. Jody against Snadra. Snadra past the last defender and in.
Perhaps a stroke of fortune ought to be thanked.
GG.
Thus end this night's proceedings.
Alright, and in that case, round 2 goes to Kor.
Until the stars align.
Kor says he needs a couple of minutes, but in this best 3 out of 5 series, that means that Kor has now gotten off to a quick start here and holds a 2-0 lead. Does mean that once again Anor can choose the arena of her liking. Could, of course, choose to stick with Jomir Valley. I believe she's still allowed to do that. But instead she opts to switch over to the Fall of Solium in what could potentially be a deciding match. If, of course, Kor is to emerge victorious in this, he would take the 3-0 sweep. Whereas, conversely, if Anor is to win this best 3 out of 5 series, she would need to pull off a reverse sweep. 3-0 herself, as there is now little to no margin for error on her end. With that in mind, does that perhaps color the team composition that both Anor and Kor choose to go with here? Kor perhaps more able to be a little more creative, disruptive, take a chance or two, as he does have 3 opportunities now to get just 1 win, whereas on Anor's side, as we were saying, no margin for error. It must be a win here, and the next one after that, and the next one after that. How will the players choose to approach this situation? Kor is in fact back. Let us reset our song, unless of course there is a different one we would like to use on this occasion now that we find ourselves at the Fall of Solium. Otherwise, we will go in with a random theme. Will of the Scribes. Suppose that is fitting. Alright. Let us begin.
The chastity shall take on the Pyre hearts. Welcome. Who shall conduct the rites?
Once again, we will see both players submitting their selections to our third-party verification process, so as to prevent player 2, Kor, from countering whatever it may be that Anor chooses to select with her choice, removing the advantage of player 2 having more information than player 1 when selecting their teams. Once they've both locked in those selections, we will proceed.
Choose.
As we were saying, of course, the current standing in this best 3 out of 5 series, perhaps influencing the direction that both players are choosing to go in here with their selections. Anor must win 3 in a row. Core, much more flexibility here. Just needs to win 1 more to take the series. And pick number 1 is locked in. Both players ready to go here. And something similar from Anor here, going with the Numbing Gust and extra blinking distance with the Nutrition Stick on Volfred in the first spot. Whereas Core going for a speedy Bertrude in the first spot. We did see Core take Bertrude, I believe, in our first matchup, but may not have seen her in the second. So, Core, still not an identical setup to what we saw in his first time selecting Bertrude, as he went for Leech on that occasion, but more similar to the first setup, whereas Anor going back to the previous match and taking a similar team, at least with our first selection there. Of course, closer matchup in the second match, and perhaps that is the logic there for Anor. So does she look to continue to build in a similar way to what she did last time? Or does she still need to make some adjustments still? Pick number 2 is now locked. Both players can proceed. We have seen some iteration of Jodariel on, I believe, all of Anor's teams, this time once again going back to the setup that she had chosen in the previous matchup. I believe that team is identical, thus far at least, to what we saw in round 2. And that is a Zoxiana with Luminous Idol. That is, I believe, the first harp that we've seen in this showdown.
No, Anor picked harp game 1.
Ah, yes. Pamitha game 1 for Anor. The first one for Core, though. And first one that we've seen since game 1. Have not seen one with the Luminous Idol yet. That was a Prayer Beads Pamitha for Anor. So Core going in a new direction here. Does that change the calculus?
Anytime.
Pick number 3 is in. And for that third choice, Anor will take her third imp, it would appear. Once again, going for the rekindling on the talisman on that imp, so very similar, if not identical, to the team that we saw her select in the previous matchup. Of course, that was the more successful of the 2 previous showings for Anor. But Core choosing to mix things up, as he goes Webbed Landthorn on an imp. And here we are in what could potentially be the deciding match in this best 3 out of 5 series between Anor and Core. Core switches to his imp, which was -5 points relative to the harp that he had there moments before, so you have to imagine he was looking to get his crone over there instead, which would have been more damage instead. Anor. Volfred taken out. Jodariel, and Tizo.
The orb is taken.
Jody eyeing that portal, but blocked as soon as she goes through it. Sidestepping a cast.
How very sad.
Banishing the defender, and with enough time to throw it in here for the full 30.
The Chastity's Pyre now burns relatively brighter.
Core, no time to charge up that throw, though. Somehow, Volfred able to avoid banishment there. Tizo on one side, Volfred the other.
A bit of a
Volfred taken out. Jody waiting for the right opportunity, or to just go to Tizo. Tizo banished. Maybe that's what Jody was looking for, although she catches the edge of that cast there.
to the flame.
Banished by her toe. Or able to get rid of that sapling with the harps, one of the unique abilities of the harp cast. Saxiana switches in. That was perhaps the switch that Core was looking for previously with his first score.
Bertrude's aim was true.
To get Bertrude in there for 30 damage, compared to just the 20 damage from Saxiana.
His rivals.
No time to do the same this go-round, though. Jody banishes one defender, but no portal for her to go through. The extra mobility, both from the teleportation and from the infinite stamina. Free orb. Over to Core. Choosing which angle of approach to take.
A deftly thwarted drive.
But that was not it. Volfred one end, Tizo the other. Volfred trying to outmaneuver the opposing harp, and does so.
To each his own.
Although not quick enough on the pass there was Nor. So it turned into a free orb rather than a completed pass, and Core has it back.
Ouch.
Blocked, though, is Bertrude. Jody banished. And Nor unable to pass that orb back quickly enough. That throw, ooh, for a second there, it looked like it might have been too short, but it had just enough on it to make it in for 23 damage. Both players once again took rekindling here.
A mere attempt.
So we will still see second life bars, though with 32 Pyre life, Anor is just out of range of Core being able to remove that initial life bar in one score. Would take two. Core unsure if he can make it in there. What with the placement of the sapling. Perhaps it's worth giving it a shot, though, as now that opportunity is gone. Jody nearly able to speed through. But everyone down now on Anor's side, and that does slow Core to a crawl. Volfred.
Banished each in turn.
Jody down. Volfred elusive. Charges up the throw, but he got pushed back out of throwing range. Pantha, or rather Saxiana, into Bertrude's plunge, and as we were just saying, even with Core's highest damage score, Bertrude's still not enough to get rid of that first life bar for Nor. But now one score would do that. So here is the rekindling, the second life bar for Nor, and now she may be on borrowed time. Because that is the winning plunge.
Pyre hearts prevail. And what a crushing victory it was.
GG.
The ceremony is complete.
And with that score, we see Core secure the third and final match in this best 3 out of 5 series.
Until the next rite.
Taking the series 3-0. Alright, and now Anor is offering to swap out if anyone would like to take her spot. Let us know if there is anyone in chat who would like to do so. Arumi has volunteered as tribute. What? Arumi has signed up. Let's see. Is he showing up on the Steams? Not at the moment. Not at... There he is. There he is. Alright, so we should be getting Arumi in soon. let us know, chat, if there's anything you would like to see between Core and Irumi. Core, I assume that you are good to stick around, or would you like to swap out as well?
I'll stick around for a bit.
Okay. Now, I don't know if the intention here is to turn everything into a bit of a tournament atmosphere, or if we are back to doing requests
If Irumi wants
for this
to,
encounter.
I'm down. I think we should definitely start doing it more often.
Or has expressed interest, at the very least. Irumi says he can go either way.
Sure, let's do it. Best of 5.
Alright, best 3 out of 5 it is, apparently. Let me swap in Irumi's information here. Well, let me just double check. I assume, Core, you're still player 2 and Irumi, you're now player 1. Is that the case?
Let me check. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Irumi, who would you like to be today? Which triumvirate would you like to be? Irumi is going Dissidents today. Dissidents it shall be. Gone are the days of the chastity. Alright. Great. So, in that case, Irumi, as a reminder, our format, assuming we're going for something similar to what we just did between Core and Or, is we will go best 3 out of 5 between you two. We will have, before selecting your characters, each time you will send in your selection to Phaler. Once you have both locked in your choice, you will then be given the heads up to proceed. And we will take it 1 exile at a time. Once you've both obviously selected the entireties of your team, we will begin. Let me just reset our song here. I believe last time for the first of the games had a random arena. Is that what we would like to do this time as well? And then afterward we will have whoever the losing side is, they will have the choice to select a stage of their liking.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. In which case, it seems we are ready to begin. Sounds like the pit, because it is.
The Pyre hearts. Welcome.
Alright, so both players will send in their initial selection. Once they have both locked in, we will then see what their selections were. May have some sense as to what Core is looking to do after, of course, we saw his initial showdown against Anor, whereas now he is facing someone new in Irumi. Now everyone's suddenly just throwing gauntlets here and there. The ground is littered with them. We'll, of course, see what direction Irumi chooses to go in here, as perhaps he may anticipate what Core has planned here. They are both locked in. Irumi, you may proceed when you are ready. Irumi, of course, a self-professed crone enthusiast, and goes for a prayer beads saluting Bertrude in the first spot. It is, of course, also the crone arena of sorts, so fitting in that way. And Core chooses a quick-throwing Manly. In a small arena such as this, does not take long before Manly can advance into throwing range. Now both players will send in their second selections here, and may at this point be able to anticipate, at least to a certain extent, what they may expect in the remaining 2 slots from their opponent.
Choose someone.
Round 2 is locked and ready to go. And for Rumi, that means a power-casting, shoulder-smashing Snadra of the true Halloween variety in her jack-o'-lantern ghost-like attire. Core has already locked in his second selection here. So despite peering at the scouting report, there is nothing he can do to make any adjustments for this selection, as he goes for what is actually a fairly defensive Barker there. Not often that you see a relatively defensive Kerr choice, but that is what Core goes for there with his second choice. Now players will submit their third and final choice here.
Just choose.
Much consideration about what that last selection may be, weighing between what synergizes best with the rest of their team and what they anticipate their opponent may choose with their last selection as well. But we are locked now. And for Rumi, that means an imp of the Titan Tooth variety with Tizo. Whereas for Core, that means a maximum rekindling Volfred, both from a mastery and talisman standpoint. And Arumi, with speed, goes bouncing off the wall and in, plunging for 25 there with his Crone. And an opening here once again for Arumi. He is off to a very quick start. Banishes one, has the orb back, but gets banished. Now Core goes for the throw for 15 with Barker. Those Kerrs maximizing their damage at 15 with throws, even if they can get 20 with their plunges. Snadra taking herself out there, bouncing that cast off of the sapling. But Arumi, back with Bertrude, cornered. Back on the orb here, now with Snadra. Retreats with Tizo, back to Snadra. Bertrude returns, but she's taken out quickly. Barker looking to banish, but gets banished. Snadra eyeing the portal, but perhaps within the aura of those saplings, Arumi thinks better of it. Here is Snadra on her second attempt, though, off the wall and still landing in the aura. Arumi defenseless momentarily, though Bertrude does return here. Nearly banished from the banishing Barker throw. He bounces all over the place, but does eventually go down, as does Bertrude. Now Manly has that quick throw, but not quick enough to avoid getting banished there by Tizo. Nor is Barker. Bertrude, on the other hand, will try her hand, but she's stopped as well. Little 360 from Snadra is not enough to phase Core. Throws it in once again for 15 with Barker. Bertrude's quick and makes it in with a 360 dunk, I might add. But remember, despite Core being it down to just 15 Pyre life, he did maximize his rekindling on at least one of those saps. So even if Arumi is to drop Core's Pyre life down to 0, that second life bar does exist and is quite large. Snadra. Back to Tizo, now Bertrude. Straight in. And here it is. And it is 70 on that second bar of life. And Arumi, nothing he can do to stop this throw, as he was defenseless on that occasion. All exiles banished. Now just Snadra, as Arumi waits for his other defenders to return. Here is Tizo, just in time, but not in time to stop Barker.
The Pyre hearts prevail. They overwhelm their adversaries utterly.
GG.
The rite is complete.
Alright, and with that, that means that Core takes match number 1
Until the next rite.
in this best 3 out of 5 series between Arumi and Core. That does mean that it is now up to Arumi. If he would like, he may choose an arena, if there is one that strikes his fancy. And Arumi will actually select the arena they were just at, the Pit of Malith. Let us know if there is a song we would like to accompany with that arena selection, otherwise we will jump back in here. It is an interesting choice. On one hand, of course, we did see Core just win there. On the other hand, we did see Arumi deal a fair bit of damage to Core's Pyre, but of course, as we were saying, a tremendous amount of rekindling after Arumi did so. I choose the song. Okay, well, I mean, it's only fitting. I mean, you can tell where this is going, but we'll, of course, go for the Dread design. Match 2 in this best 3 out of 5. Core leading the series 1-0 at the moment, and we are back.
The Pyre hearts.
Back at the pit.
Welcome.
Even after Core taking the victory here
The rites.
in the previous rite, Arumi nonetheless chooses to return. And does he choose a similar setup here after what was, by some accounts, a successful showing? Would have, under other circumstances, dealt enough damage to have defeated Core, but that rekindling was a difference maker. So does Arumi choose to make adjustments, or does Core choose to go with something similar to what he did last time, given how he did emerge victorious last time here on this location? We are locked, so we shall see, at least for that first choice. And already we see, on Arumi's end, a major adjustment, as that will be a Triestis Plume Pamitha in what was previously Bertrude's leading spot. Bertrude, who was far and away Arumi's leading scorer last time round, and coincidentally, we also see Core chose a harp in that first spot as well. Remember, both players are sending in their selections to a third party. They do not know what their opposition is going to select, so that was a coincidence that both happened to select a harp there after seeing no harps in the previous matchup. Bird mirror incoming, perhaps, at least in that first spot. But how did both players choose to adapt in that case? Did they anticipate that their opponents might do the same?
Your decision.
And number 2 is locked in as well. Arumi, you are free to proceed whenever you are able to do so. Another significant pivot here for Arumi. Going with a Thorned Knot Deluge after not selecting a worm in his first team. So 2 new types of characters here for Arumi. Core going for a Webbed Lanthorn Imp there. Relatively safe selection in that case. Never a wrong decision, but perhaps a little more predictable. And Arumi taking a moment to check that scouting report before he locks in that third and final choice. So you know he is considering what Core has already taken here, trying to find a way to counter that setup.
Your choice.
Alright, and both players have now chosen. They are ready to go. What direction have they opted to go in here? In Arumi's case, it's a Typhoon Bottle on Jody. The extra starting Pyre life. Core, of course, at this point has already locked in his team, so he cannot make any adjustments here with his selection, but just trying to make sure he understands what it is that Arumi may be trying to do here. And once again, both players coincidentally opting to take at least the same class of exile at the same time. For Core, that means a Leeching Ignarius. And here we are for match number 2, after Core took match number 1 in this best 3 out of 5 series. Core moving in aggressively here with Ignarius, applying a lot of pressure. Arumi trying to escape from that pressure as the orb inadvertently hits his Pyre and bounces out, perhaps giving him A breath of fresh air. However, Core back on the orb and nearly capitalizes on that opportunity. Now Rumi. Once again, it's Ignarius. Not making matters easy. Soxiana for Core. Choosing when and where to make the move. Eyeing the portal, but Arumi was in position to stop that. And has time. Oh, cut it slightly short there. Saw that Core was beginning to get one of his characters back from banishment. So 27 rather than the full 30 damage on that throw. Here's Ignarius. He is banished though. Everyone banished in that exchange, and that leaves Core the only person who has any teammates still on the field until Hamatha returns and makes it in. She had Trigestis Plume, so if she was flying when she did that, she would have gotten an extra 5 damage and a chance of coming back from banishment after plunging. That was not the case there. Demon versus Demon. Ooh, but Core does not have enough time to get that off. And Arumi sneaks over the defender and in for 15 with his Worm, Deluge. The Harp's duel. Now the Demon's duel. But it's back with Soxiana, who flies over one Harp, switches into Ignarius, and plunges for 40. Core cleared out much space there, making room for his Harp to make it in for 20. And Arumi lost a couple of defenders very quickly there. So opportunity for Core. And with Flame Leech, that is a net 45-point play there. A huge difference maker, and the momentum certainly starting to tilt in Core's favor. Ignarius down. Now it's Jody. But she's banished. And an opportunity here for Core. Sending Arumi down to just 5 Pyre life. Here comes Core off the wall and in. To take the win.
They vastly outperformed their adversaries. The rite is ended.
GG. And with that of course means Core has taken match number 2 in this best 3 out of 5 series. Alright, and that means that once again, Arumi has the choice of picking an arena. Will he continue to stand by the Pit of Malith? Or does he choose a new location? Arumi says, random it shall be. Anything else song-wise we'd like to have on top of that? Or I suppose we could have a random theme to go along with it, fittingly, in that case. Not seeing any particular songs, though, so why don't we jump into what could be the third and final match of this showdown between Arumi and Core, of course, depending on who the victor is. We find ourselves at the Fall of Solium. And with Core holding a 2-0 lead, it does mean, once again, that if Core is to emerge victorious, he would take the 3-0 sweep. Whereas, on the other hand, if Arumi is to win out in this series, he would now need to win 3 in a row.
Go on.
So we shall see if Arumi can emerge unfazed under such pressure. Both players are locked in. This time, Arumi going back to his crone ways with a quick throwing Udmilda in the first spot. Of course, we saw in the two previous encounters, the Pit of Elite, which was quite a small arena compared to the Fall of Solium, which is one of, if not the largest of arenas, so in that way that can certainly influence what players prefer to take with their teams here. And we saw Core go for a strategy, a setup that he has, of course, become well known for, that being the stowaway, with none other than the canned Singularity.
Go on.
And we are locked in for our second selections here. Both players ready to go. Arumi, we saw him take a worm last time. And we'll do so again here. That may be the same setup we saw him take on Deluge last time around, whereas Core now going for a power casting Snadra with his second selection. And now the last choice for both players. Although that second choice for Rumi may have been the same that he took in the previous matchup. He took a Harp in his first spot, not a Crone in the previous match, so the full team composition is still different. At the moment, a bit of a mixture between match 1 and match 2.
Choose.
We are now locked in. The final selections have been made. Both players know what they are going to take here. And it's actually double worm. In the case of Arumi, that time it is an exploding worm. Perhaps compensating a bit for one of the Crone's weaknesses, which is their relatively long respawn time when they get banished. And, well, it appears as though once again they may have, whether intentionally or not, anticipated what their opponent would take, as Core is also going for an exploding worm with his last selection. In what could be the final showdown in this best 3 out of 5 series. Again, Core leading 2-0 at the moment. If he wins this match, he wins the series. So for Rumi, it is all or nothing. Worm versus Worm. Core has enough on it. Lands the throw for 15. And a quick snap cast from the stowaway, putting some pressure on Arumi, and Core, a little bit of a black magic jump there. You could see that the stowaway curved that around a defender and in. But now no stowaway for this round, as she has that canned Singularity, not a Prayer Beads, although that doesn't stop Snadra from making it in here for another 20. But there is the chaos of the canned Singularity activating, sucking in neighboring exiles like a vacuum cleaner. And if they fall into someone's aura, of course, getting banished in the process. But suddenly, Core leaving his own Pyre unattended here. So opportunity, which Arumi seizes for 30 damage on that prone throw. Arumi quick enough to sidestep the cast, but he's still rushed down by the Stowaway. Stowaway just barely avoided that cast there and able to hop in for another 20 damage. As Arumi perhaps starting to run out of time. Tudmilda though, and once again, finds time and space for a 30 damage throw that is Arumi's advantage here. Is when it comes to the damage per score, Arumi is dealing more, assuming it is coming from Udmilda, who does very much appear to be his preferred offensive option, although Snadra has on a few occasions now cut off Udmilda from making such an attack. Stowaway. Taken out. That may have been a false step, it was. And that time it definitely was. So throwing it in for 20, and Arumi holding on by a thread. But Arumi did take Feral Curse. So that means he does still have the chance here to get a free 30 damage. And that means this is still anybody's game. Udmilda taken out. Here comes the counterattack. From Core, eludes one defender. And another! And another unblockable throw! To take the win and take the series.
Although their adversaries put up quite an effort, the right is done.
GG. Alright, and with that, as we were saying, Core has now won the third match, and in doing so, taken the series win 3-0. Alright, so, of course, either of you are welcome to stick around if you would like to continue to play beyond that series there, but well played to the two of you. Arumi is looking to swap out, though, if there is anyone who would like to take his spot. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Perhaps there is someone in particular in chat who would like to do so. Can't possibly imagine who that might be. Oh, and Core, hold on. Core's stipulations are changing here. After taking on 2 people in a best 3 out of 5 series, he says, if it is to be failure, perhaps failure is not an option. He will not go for a 3 out of 5 series. He insists that it be a more typical, more casual matchup. Well, Failure says he's not available anyway. But perhaps on another occasion, on a future night. In which case, that does still mean we may be looking for someone else to take Arumi's spot. Or else he would bottle a Void or 2. Then there may be fighting words. Honestly, I'm not really sure. Do we have anyone else who would like to jump in here in Arumi's place? Oh dear. Oh dear. The trash talking. Does it ever end? Does it ever really end? I don't know. Well, any takers here? We are, I believe, still looking for someone else to hop in here. Another player. Phaler has said he is unavailable at the moment. Therefore, we would need for it to be someone else. Rumi can still play if no one else wants to hop in. As I was saying, I think that is very much still an option, especially if we are not insisting upon continuing this best 3 out of 5 series format. In which case, perhaps, we're back to the more typical request-based system, or at least having the options for chat to request any of a variety of things, exiles, masteries, talismans, what have you. Do we have any such requests if we are to continue this Arumi versus Core showdown? Arumi says absolutely. Customize off, so randomize exiles, masteries, and talismans. It'll be at the Glade, though, says Core. Okay. It shall be at the Glade of Liu. Alright then. In that case, that covers just about everything except for the song, which we will set to be the song of this location for end ceremony. Alright. Well, let's get started then. What will we see? We're going to get thrown straight in here. Won't even get to see what it is that both players have set up, so it'll be a bit of a guessing game in that way. For Arumi, it is 2 of the demons and a crone. For Core, it is a harp, a cur, and an imp. Well, that one of those demons is Orlek, the one that just got banished. And that does mean, for what it's worth, that Arumi has pretty close to what is mathematically the team with the longest possible respawn time. Black Hoof. You knew somebody had to have a cursed talisman, and apparently it is Zoxiana on Core's side. Bit of a shame for Core, as that might have otherwise been one of his preferred attackers. And Arumi does have Celestial Spike on Orlek, as we just saw there, getting rid of one of the would-be defenders. That is certainly effective. Oh, and it is also Core's leading exile, no less, making it that much harder for him to win the initial orb race. But does still have what looks to be a triple hopping cur there, so could certainly be worse in that regard. Core still being very aggressive with the casts on Zoxiana, even if she can't pick up the orb. Oh, and that is a dangerous portal there. But Zoxiana the only exile at the moment for Core, and he can't really do anything offensively with her. She's not a threat by herself.
All of them. The orb is up.
Arumi getting a defender just in time to make a block. Moving that portal ever so slightly further away from his Pyre in the process. Yeah, that fell swoop from Zoxiana, causing some trouble. But she is taken out here. Core perhaps thinking about using that portal, but it is very thoroughly guarded. Although, Core still finds a way through.
Into the adversary's flame.
Zoxiana taking out Vorfrit, then taken out by Orlek. And somehow eludes Zoxiana and plunges once again there. Now, as we were saying, given the long respawn time of all of Arumi's exiles, that is probably not that uncommon of a sight for us to see, to have all of Arumi's exiles banished at once. Especially if they are lined up like that, that is certainly a risk. And that means lots of time and space for a throw there. And now one more score. Likely all that Core needs here, although he cannot score with Zoxiana. Just controlling the orb in the middle there, threatening with that big cast and fell swoop, and suddenly this may be the opportunity that Core was waiting for, unless Arumi has an unexpected source of rekindling, a RITE Light from one of his Exile's talismans. So Arumi holds on here.
Vanished, one and all.
And now it is Irumi with time to, and Leech as well. Oh goodness. Oh goodness.
Now burns no more brightly than the other. Now to the flame.
Oh, how the turns have tabled. Orlek has enough damage here, if he can find a way through. But he stops this time.
Tis taken.
Parker. Speeds past. Throw. Oh, and gets it off just in time. But I believe at that number, Core does still need 2 scores. Whereas Irumi still only needs 1, unless he has extra damage on his imp. Have we confirmed one way or the other? Just 15. Just 15.
The Pyre hearts seem hungry for their glory.
Core once again just trying to control the arena with a great reach and control of Zoxiana's cast and fell swoop, and Arumi defenseless, and Core takes the win.
The Pyre hearts prevail. Their pyre nearly was extinguished there, but no.
GG.
The rite is ended.
Yeah, it was on a few occasions that long respawn time certainly caused Arumi some issues there, but at the same time did have a lot of firepower and Leech with his setup, which was nearly a difference maker there. Alright, we will turn Customize back on, unless, of course, that is something we would like to continue to see for the next match as well. We will reset ourselves. You always love to see those unexpected 20 rekindlings from a RITE Light just happened to pop up there. And Anor says, more of that, please. Customize will remain off. Is there anything else we'd like to do on top of that, arena-wise, song-wise? Or would Customize off be all? Well. You don't say. You don't say. Something tells me we may be in for a bit of a dirty deal, if you will. In fact, 2 of them, and also a Knights of the Sea after that. Perhaps.
The dissidents.
Alright, another randomized setup here. We see the extra starting Pyre life on Arumi's side from Ash and Cole. It is Worm, Kerr, and Harp. Whereas on Core's side it is Worm, Kerr, and Imp. So similar, at least from a class standpoint. 2 out of 3 exiles are the same. Of course, masteries and talismans, though, those may differ significantly. As we just saw, only 15 damage on Ruki's plunge there. That would suggest that he is entirely a left-sided Ruki, so he should have triple jumps and extra speed.
In goes the orb.
And now, after a second score there, Core has gotten rid of that initial advantage that Arumi got from the extra 30 starting Pyre life. Away with Ruki. Zoxiana. Down she goes as well. And just barely, Core able to sneak that throw past the incoming defender. Good for 11 on that occasion. Bright Wisp automatically passing the orb to the closest exile whenever Tizo is banished. Seen that trigger on a couple of occasions now. Core trying to use that portal aggressively to launch a quick counterattack. It set himself up for opportunities like this to throw it in for 14. There's the Bright Wisp once again. Core, certainly with his team, is not lacking in the way of speed. Charging forward aggressively, there's the lucky break. Tsurugi has returned, but he's blocked. Vanishes one defender and follows it in there. As we were saying, the triple jump and extra speed, giving him great mobility. But he is gone here and well cast there, and now everyone gone. On Core's side, if Arumi is quick. But Tizo comes back in time for Core to make a defensive stand. And there is once again the portal used for a quick counterattack. 11 damage on the throw from Core's Worm. Tizo back to Ruki. Ruki pushed away and vanished. The other thing that is quite different with Core's team is it is more or less the exact opposite to what we saw Arumi have last time, and that especially with that lucky break, Core's team will come back quite quickly from banishments. And one more score perhaps, all that Core needs here. Not enough damage, not yet at least. Will we, however, perhaps see another random right light, giving Irumi an unexpected source of rekindling? Not sure we've seen much in the way of talisman confirmation for Irumi thus far. Seen at least one on Core's side, though. That is sometimes an indication of a right light, because of course you have no way of knowing that it exists until it activates at the very end of a match. Core is checking for the stunning claim. He does not have it, though. Parker, for Rumi, has some speed of his own. Kerr versus Kerr. And that brings back Lady River, who, once again, does not have that salute. And that means an opening here. And okay, although definitely some mobility there on Barker, did still see he has at least the first of the right side masteries to give him 5 extra damage. Opening perhaps, though, for Core. And in he goes for the winning plunge.
The Pyre prevail. Their adversaries must be crying tears of shame. The right is done.
GG. Well played, you two. We have a clip there. There's at least one impressive dog snipe, yeah. Hold on, let's take a peek. What do we have here? What do we have here? Giving him great mobility. But he is gone here and... Was this the snipe in question? Giving him great mobility. Right, that was impressive. I mean, that was a almost full length of their full width of the arena. Required significant anticipation there. Well cast indeed. Very well cast from Arumi. Well done. Well done. No question. Alright, is there anything that we would like to see for the next one? Otherwise, we will reset ourselves here. We did have 2 Dirty Deal requests, and then I think a Knight of the Sea, so I don't know if that means, do we want to do a double Dirty Deal? Or was one sufficient? Sure. Double Dirty Deal. I think one of them was Failure. I forget who the second one was. Do you have a request for book? we have, we've selected our arena, we've selected our song. I don't think we've had anything else in the meantime. Certainly much enthusiasm about the tea that may or may not be either consumed or about to be consumed. But was there anything on top of that? Peppermint tea? I don't know. What is the tea of choice? That is also a key question.
What is your favorite tea, Vids?
I usually go for ginger tea.
Mm.
You know, originally I was not really a tea person, but then once upon a time I think I was having some stomach aches, and heard that apparently ginger in general and ginger tea by extension can be helpful for some of that stuff, and it actually kind of worked. Whether it was placebo or not, who knows, but since then ginger tea has been my go-to.
Yeah, I really love ginger. Ginger ale is really good. Ginger tea is pretty good too.
What's up, Cacao? How are you? How do we feel about a quote-unquote random arena? And by that you mean that every major obstacle from every map, every round, it enables a random amount of them. Cracks, sliding floor, thorns, water spouts, bouncing walls, etc. The true customize off. Okay, Lenore does come in and turn customize off. It sounds intriguing, Arumi. I mean, in practice, I don't know, it might be so chaotic that it's, like, at some points would it be making it so that it's impossible to even traverse the arena at all, at which point, okay, that would probably become an issue. But, you know, if there's enough open space there that you can still make your way around, you're just not exactly sure how, from any match to the next, then it could still be an interesting time.
I'm back whenever we want to start.
Okay. Wait, I saw the... Wait, did I... Hold on. What? What? Cacao came... Not only did Cacao come in, Cacao came in with a Falcon Ron. What? What? It's his first? Oh, man. Alright, tell you what, Cacao, I think that means we're gonna have to get you in for this next one. We do already have some things set here for Arumi and Core for this next match. But I think that means we're gonna need to get Cacao in for the next match and have it be a true Falcon Ron match.
It might have to be the next one, because there's requests for the next one.
Oh, okay. Yep,
There's
apparently we have a lot of
boat and
requests.
Knights. There's boat and knights for the next one. But then after that, there's nothing. And then he can get in.
You can't play today, Cacao. What? How are we supposed to have Falcon Ron festivities if you cannot participate in said festivities? That's just wrong. That's just wrong. Alright, well anyways, we do have this match here between Arumi and Core with Customize Off, Book of Rites, Dirty Deal. Let's at least get this one done and dusted, because we have a growing list of things that people would like to see for the subsequent rites.
The dissidents shall now face the Pyre.
Double Harp and Sap for Arumi. Nomad, Imp, and Crone in the case of Core. Fairy Spirit you just saw, I believe that was, I thought, coming from Bertrude. Though Core had an opportunity there with no one back to defend. He didn't have the orb, so could not capitalize on it.
Dude, I was zooming.
He was zooming though. That do be true.
Sad for the dissidents.
360 throw.
Waves first in the
Good for 20 from Headwind. A series of banishments there coming from Bertrude,
Bertrude threw it in.
who throws it in for 30. Bertrude cornered, but leaps into just enough space to get off a 13 damage throw there.
That's it.
Hamatha blocked, banished. Now Core with Tizo and only Tizo remaining. Throws it off his own Pyre to have it bounce out unpredictably.
Will I be rather angry? The dissidents are banished.
Now
to the
both players completely banished, although it is Core getting a character back first. And that throw, just barely enough on it to get there for 15 damage. There's the Infinite Stamina for Tizo, which has since expired. Eventually he comes down, and so eventually he is banished. Hamatha blocked, now banished. And Core had Bertrude just hanging out there.
The sacred miracle has kept the
Oh, but look at that. A little bit of rekindling must have come from Manly in that case, as it came in an increment of 10. So that would be the first mastery on the right side of the sap tree.
Hamatha banished.
And Arumi stuck with just a Manly and not much else for a while there. But now on the attack suddenly, with Saxiana, though she is banished. Finds a way through with his other harp, though. Plunging here for 20.
Yes.
Saxiana
Glory to the scribes.
makes it through.
Positively brutish.
Now Bertrude for Core. Doesn't quite have the time to get off that throw, and Core having to defend once again against these harps, which Arumi has suddenly found some success with. Though they are currently all banished.
All of them.
Same could be said of all of Arumi's exiles, and thus, Core throws in the winning score.
Perhaps they do deserve their freedom after all.
Wait, who had the
Thus
very small-
end this night's
I'm not sure.
proceedings.
At first, I thought it was your Bertrude, but it
Yeah,
definitely
I
wasn't.
thought- Yeah.
Until the next right.
I guess one of the harps, probably?
Maybe one of the harps. The fairy spirit that was dropping the little globules for the infinite stamina, at first we thought it was Core's crone, but that later proved to not be the case. So, not sure we ever confirmed, or at least I didn't confirm which one it was. So it might have been one of your harps there, Rumi. Alright, so what do we have left? We have Knights of the Sea. Did we have an arena to go along with that as well that was still in the queue? Thought we had one other thing.
Boat. We have not seen boat yet.
Boats, okay. Alright then. So this would be everything leading up to the Falcon Ron. I remain uncertain how to implement the Falcon Ron if we do not have Cacao in to participate. Because it feels like that's a missed opportunity if Cacao is the one to request it and then just can't even revel in the fun that is a Falcon Ron match. There's a little glitch. If right as the sap dies, it salutes. The Guardian Sapling appears at the pyre, then explodes. So I think we've seen this before. I feel like I've seen other people do this on very rare occasions. So I'm not sure. Sure.
Yeah, I think it's just a delay in the sapling. It's similar to how you're able to how we do the like exploding sapling tech, where you're able to respawn the new sap after you salute. So what's happening is like you salute, and then when you die, it spawns a different sapling, and so that's the one that explodes.
All right. Well, we do have ourselves a boat ride coming up for, I believe, it will actually be the first time today. Knights of the Sea and all.
The dissidents versus the Pyre Hearts. Welcome.
And for the first time
Who shall conduct the rites?
in a very long time, if not in the entirety of today's Rite Night, we have a match in which we not only have customized back on, but it is up to the players to select whoever they would like, and we are not doing a lock-in system. So just whatever they want here. Just a casual match, and of course, that being said, when one is on the boat, there's one or two ways that one could be particularly boaty, if you will. Your quickness right now is negative for Headwind, for what it's worth. Or, well, lower than it should be. That shouldn't be Titan Hangover. But it is the same effect. What is it, everyone's?
No.
Just Headwind. Headwind is feeling a little bit impaired at the moment. You see, Headwind is on the boat. So Headwind's not a particularly big fan of being out at sea. He's just feeling a little off today. Right, and he is a Titan Tooth T-Zone, the second spot. We saw Core choose, I believe it may have been a throwing manly with his first selection there. That is true. Of all the candidates out there, Headwind perhaps the worst Knight of the Sea. At least you could certainly make that case. What's up, Emberic? How are you? Well, it is a boat. And so there will be a sea worm. There's a interesting coloration there.
Sap.
On the triple sap setup for Core. Well, once upon a time, we did see what may have been to this day, the longest Rite in Rite Night history take place on this very arena with triple sap versus triple sap. That is, of course, not the case on this occasion. 3 saps on one side, but not the other. So I don't think we're about to see history repeat itself there. Certainly not, as Core plunges in here for 25 damage. with Volfred. But it does make you wonder.
All of the dissidents gone.
Of course, Arumi has a very long respawn time here with Orlek, who remains down at the moment.
Unexpected.
So at the moment, it's just Deluge. Deluge had no one back to defend him, although Arumi perhaps hesitated a bit there, wondering if he was better served waiting for one of his teammates to return, such as the Orlek that we now see. Orlek, oh, not quick enough to avoid that sapling there, and it is back to the painfully long respawn time. Unless, of course, Core throws it in here for a score. Then, Orlek will return, but at the cost of Core having dealt additional damage to Arumi's Pyre. But of course, what Orlek is particularly good at in this arena is performing the kind of boat magic trickery that only he can realize. Sap throw there for 21 damage. Orlek takes out Volfred and retrieves the orb. Exploding sapling avoids Orlek. Orlek was going for the big one, but couldn't quite pull off the air Orlek theatrics that he was looking for. And so he retreats and lines up the jump, and he would have had it as well, were it not for one of those saps blocking his ascent.
So Deluge is banished.
Orlek is back, and he's ready.
Banished.
But the boat magic was not. And there is what must have been a nutritious stick blink, as that was quite the distance that we just saw Volfred traverse right there. Both teams waiting, hesitating perhaps. But Arumi is ready to embrace the boat magic once again. But falling short is Orlek.
The orb is up.
And Arumi defenseless, and there is a quick sap throw.
No more than a link of
Orlek again.
flame remains.
Can he find the magic that has eluded him thus far?
The orb is
Manly moving in and throwing quickly. However, Arumi holding on with precisely one Pyre life. Orlek doesn't have Brazen Manor, it doesn't matter. Whatever it takes to channel the power of the boat, Orlek will do it. No Orlek now, however, as he did not have prayer beads. And so Arumi on this occasion finds himself momentarily defenseless, and at best, at 2 exiles. However, he is quite aggressive with his defensive plays here, holding Core off for the moment, waiting for his opportunity to strike.
for the dissidents. Another banishment.
Now, for the first time in a while, Arumi, at least for a moment, with 2 exiles, sneaks through though with an unblockable worm throw for the full 15 damage, and perhaps more significantly means Orlek will return. Gone though he may be, it is at least possible for Arumi to bring him back now, whereas that was not previously the case after he had plunged. When Arumi nearly wove his way around Core's defense. Orlek returns only to quickly be banished once again. Not a sight that Arumi likes to see. Of course, Core just needs 1 damage here.
And it is done.
And there it is.
The Pyre heart prevails. And such a
GG.
well-conducted victory it was.
The 1 HP comeback would have been crazy indeed. But alas, it was not meant to be.
Until the next rite.
And you have to respect that. He was searching for the boat magic, but sometimes, try as you may, the boat magic just does not appear. Alright, Narumi is now looking to hop off, which means we will want someone else to hop in to take his place. Is there anyone who would like to do so? Core also, under ideal circumstances, would like to swap out as well. However, if we only have 1 additional person who is available, he can stick around. So in that case, we're looking for at least 1, potentially 2 people here. Honor could jump back in. I mean, Honor, we just had you in fairly briefly at the beginning, so we could try to get you back in. Iroder is busy today, so unavailable. Anyone else? Anyone else from chat who we might get in here? Potentially face off against Honor. Of course, we did previously see when we had Honor, and it was Honor against Core. Generally, when we're getting someone back in who has already played for the day, we try to make a point of having, at the very least, a new matchup in that case, so that there is a new dynamic. So if we are to bring back Honor, do we have anyone else to face off against Honor so that we are not repeating this Honor against Core matchup? Any takers? Get a Nor in and then do a Falcon Ron match? Right. No more. That is true. I suppose when we had a Nor against Core previously, it was the tournament-like format. So it would be different in that sense, in that we could now open up to the more typical, more casual format this time around. That is true. By some accounts, this is supposed to be the Falcon Ron match. I am still feeling as though perhaps, I don't know, is there? I mean, Cacao said he's unavailable today, despite having made the Falcon Ron request. Does that mean that we hold a Falcon Ron in reserve for a future Cacao appearance? Is that the approach that we take here? Or do we have someone else participate in the Falcon Ron match on Cacao's behalf? I feel like this is, going to have to be a Cacao decision. Granted, I just gave you an either or and you said no, so I'm not sure what that means. And by no, I mean yes. Give us... Just randomly hold it in reserve. Not even for Cacao, per se. Just on some random occasion, we will have a looming Falcon Ron threat. Oh yes, you see, the forecast is cloudy with a chance of Falcon Run. Cacao says he wants to see it, though. He says he wants to see it. I know, that kind of intrigues me. The whole imminent, looming threat of a Falcon Run without ever truly knowing definitively when he might appear. There's something to that. I do kind of like that idea. We could have, we could be having a tournament. Could be right in the middle of a series for a tournament, and then in the middle of a match, we pause this match to give you an important breaking announcement. Falcon Ron has just intervened in this rite. Fundamentally changing the dynamic of this match. Halftime show of Falcon Ron. Alright, I'm not sure where all this leaves us. I think Cacao said that he wants us to just go out and do it right now. It was a dirty deal indeed. Done dirt cheap. Okay. Alright. In theory, we are getting an ore back. What exactly beyond that is happening? You know, that remains a bit of an unresolved question. I think we may be doing a Falcon Ron match. I think that may be what we're going for here. Right in the middle of the final, the determining match of the final. A wild Falcon Ron appeared! In theory, I sent you an invite in ore. Hopefully it went through. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, hold on. Come on, Steam. Come on, Steam. You can do it. I mean, we don't really believe in you, but we hope that you'll work. That sounded promising, though. Okay. If we could just get some confirmation as to who is player 1 and who's player 2 here. And Or's player 1? Okay. Let's also make sure. Still on controller. Okay, so where does this leave us exactly? From my understanding, it is a Nor core, which is, of course, the matchup that we had to start the day today. However, that was in a competitive best 3 out of 5 format, which is definitely not what we're doing anymore. The question is this a standard RITE NITE format, or is this instead going to be a Falcon Ron match? So I thought we were determining that this is now going to prove to be the Falcon Ron match. This is a competitive series of best of ones. Well, I mean, I guess by some metrics, yeah, you could put it that way if you want to. All right, let's hop in Falcon Ron may or may not make an appearance. I don't really know. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine at this point. Except Nor is also turning Customize off. Okay. Alright, in case we needed a little more chaos for this one.
The true Nightwings
Well,
shall now face
it is Double Worm Kerr for Nor. That looks like an Orlek with an absolutely ginormous aura for Core. With Gareth and Messenger, that is almost entirely a True Nightwings team for Core. And oddly enough, Anor happened to choose True Nightwings. So, True Nightwings against True Nightwings. As Core starts off with a throw for 25 damage. Here is Orlek. Oh, he had additional damage there. Didn't catch if Core had done a Brazen Manor first, or if there's some other factor at play here. Here is Orlek once more.
the flame is stricken.
That time for 20.
Ouch.
Orlek banished this time. Anor hops past and then under the defender for 15. That must be entirely left side on Rookie. So speedy, good mobility, but lacking a little bit of damage. Orlek. Hip hop hopping around. Tokyo City like a big playground. Trying to knock back all the defenders. Chasing while simultaneously being chased. Okay, he does have Brazen Manor, and there it is.
The Pyre hearts prevail. Most excellently
GG.
done this time, I must admit. The rite is complete.
That is true. That was also Orlek against what was probably just about the smallest team you could possibly have.
Until the stars align.
Pretty close to it. All right, let's set ourselves back up here, unless there's something in particular that we would like to see for the next one. If so, let us know. Otherwise, we'll let these two take whatever they'd like to take. But Anor says back to Customize, off we go. Perhaps unsatisfied with the way the dice were rolled. Core goes never to return Pyre Hearts for the song. Alright. And that means outside of an arena, that covers just about everything. Just don't want to think about team compositions for now. You know what? That is fair. That is fair. Fall? Ooh. Okay. I was about to say, we are very nearly initiating the Liberation Rite protocols. Core, is this meant to be a little hint? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Lids. By the way, I need to go. Can we turn this into the Liberation Rite? Or is this merely a coincidence that we are trying to create a faux Liberation Rite on this occasion? Not necessarily. Alright. Read into that however you will. Okay, was not planning for it to be. I mean, we do have Customize off as well, which obviously we would usually allow people to select whatever they'd like for Liberation Rites. So don't be fooled by the old ways.
Exiles, welcome to the fall of Solium. You have this opportunity to prove your worth. Prevail and earn the favor of the scribes. True Nightwings, stand ready.
Alright, it is randomized, and this time for a Nor, that looks like Nomad, Savage, Worm, Demon, Nomad, Cur on Core's end. Other than that, we will see, to the extent possible, what mixture of masteries and talismans. Living Flame, I'm pretty sure we saw Living Flame on that Orlek that Core had last time as well. So, not quite the same as that is Jody, rather than Orlek this time around, but a Demon with Living Flame on both occasions. Oh, and Nor trying to get back Ulmer there. Fortunately, he did come back the usual way, relatively quickly thereafter. Oh, that? I saw what that was on a Savage, no less. Hold on just a second here. Hold on just Anor had to check. Anor had to check. What am I referring to? Well, I mean, Anor has most of the pieces. Almost all of the pieces to a certain combo. To a certain particular combo. Core just barely hopping over that cast there. Fairy Spirit giving Ulmer some extra stamina here. And he just goes straight in. Possibly. On a Savage. When she a Sacred Bond. Suddenly, it's rather quiet on Anor's end, at least until Snadra's return. Core trying to knock back those defenders, but can't do so quickly enough. Snadra. And Lady River. Lady River down. Snadra also down, although Lady River returns. Lady River comes back with her valiant return. Jody pressing forward, slowly but surely. Knocks back the defenders far enough to set up the throw, just barely. Saw Snadra trying to get in there to intercept in the last second, but there's that extra damage as well we were talking about before with the Living Flame. And enough of a difference maker that now, with Jody, Core would likely have enough damage to finish this with one score unless we see another unexpected source of rekindling with RITE NITE. Or for a second there, it looked like she might have had an angle to sneak in with her worm. Thought about bringing him back, but now an opening gear for the winning plunge.
The Pyre hearts proved their worth.
GG.
Their adversaries they defeated utterly. Thus ends the Liberation Rite.
Not the Liberation Rite, just to clarify, although it may have seemed like it. That was another customize-off match, and one in which Anor very nearly got the full-blown canned singularity setup. Just one or two pieces away. You do not see that very often. We'll reset ourselves unless there's something else we would like for this next one. Anor is all in on the customize off today, it would seem. Now she's just trying to circumvent having to pay up the lit coin. How dare she? How dare she? There you go. And Barrack bailed you out. Alright, customize off we have once again. It was worth a try. It was worth a try. Alright, let's turn servant intro off. Okay. Anything else? We could still do a song. We could still do an arena. Otherwise, we have, once again, our Exiles, Masteries, and Talismans, all accounted for here in a randomized way with Customize turned off. And it is looking as though that may be it. That may be it.
The true Nightwings shall
To the
take
spring we
on
go.
the
This
Pyre
time,
Hearts.
Demon on Honor's side, along with, I think that's Lendl
Commence.
and Dalbert. Then it is 2 out of 3 members of the ghostly cast,
First to the true
the Beyonders. 4 core, the one exception being Tizo.
Now then,
So 1 Crone, 1 Sap, and 1 Imp on his side. Jody leaps forward. A little bit of room here. She is taken out. Black Heart, in the case of, I think that was Vorfrit for Core.
all flies true.
Core was time to throw this one in for 25 with his Sap. Palmas.
Best not let this go to your heads, Pyre Hearts.
Vorfrit. Cornered. Oh, and dramatic block that sent Delbert flying. And Vengeful Vow was on... Whew. So that was around Tizo at the time, and if that is a Vengeful Vow... Oh, rather a, Oh yes, Vengeful Vow. For a second I was thinking, Webbed Lanthorn. Thought that, perhaps Core had gotten a random Webbed Lanthorn on his Imp. No, that is a Vengeful Vow on Dalbert?
No sign of the true Nightwings at this time.
Nor defenseless until Dalbert returns, but he does that just in time to make a saving play here.
Remember
But persistence pays off for Core as he plunges in here for 15.
My.
Note is on Lendl, is where the Vengeful Vow is coming from. That means opportunity here for
No,
Nor.
that was Vengeful Vow, you locked on Vengeful.
Blackheart activated for Vorfrit.
Such chaos.
Palmas. Now Blackheart with a positive outcome for Vorfrit. Nor intercepts, but is quickly taken out. Palmas versus Lendl. Make that Dalbert. Make that Jody. This Jody seems particularly quick. Oh, but misses the mark there. And what appeared to have been a undefended Pyre. But now opportunity for Dalbert, perhaps.
Dalbert quenched the fires of
Get
his
the taste of
foe.
your own medicine.
Taste of your own medicine, Enora says, as Dalbert walks that one in. Vorfrit cornered. Jody blocked. Banished. And banishes. Blackheart, though,
Fortunate for the true Nightwing.
at least temporarily, making Vorfrit considerably less of a factor, although Core moving in here instead with his Sap. Not a lot that Core can do, though, with that Howler. It's time for Lendl,
Has gone in.
and Or cutting it slightly short as Core was about to get someone back.
How very fortunate for the true Nightwings.
Dalbert hops past one, and the other.
Plunged into the adversary's flame.
Now 21 Pyre life means that barring another unexpected RITE light, Jody would have enough damage for an ore. No one else would. We could, however, still see some rekindling from Palmas. I've not noticed as to whether we've confirmed one way or the other what his masteries may be. It's certainly possible we might see some rekindling coming from him. Both players fake each other out with where they were trying to go there. But eventually, Nor able to take out Vorfrit.
Oh, well, banished. A foul turn for
And
the two Nightwings.
it is Core coming back first. Throw is unblockable, and it has enough on it.
Throw it in. Into the adversary's flame.
Wendell. Delver. Thought he might have had a lane there down south and nearly did. Delvered again.
Delver banished.
Time now for Tizo. And Palmas to start moving in. And huge implosion, leaving no one but a Howler form of Vorfrit remaining, who somehow finds a way through.
The rite has nearly ended. The orb is up.
Palmas moving in. Does he have the throwing range? Well, it's off target. And now he's banished. Jody
Banishment.
has time here as Core does not have anyone back. At least until Palmas returns, though he is banished. And Jody goes in and does confirm 10 rekindling. Must have been from Palmas then. That means we are tied at 10 apiece here. Suppose there is a chance that Anor has some unexpected rekindling from Bright Light. But certainly not coming from a sap. And there it is. The winning score.
Prevail. A victory so narrowly achieved, and thus more glorious. The rite is ended.
GG.
Until the next rite.
Alright, let's reset ourselves here from a customized standpoint at the very least. Is there anything else we'd like to see for the next one, though? Yeah, it wasn't just an uncontested Howler score either. It was Howler score in which there was significant amount of dipping, diving, ducking, and dodging. Not seeing any requests at the moment from chat, though. Is there anything else we're looking for here? Well, I need not ask. Because when in doubt, one can always turn Customize off the old Never to Return as well. Not heard that one for quite some time. Alright, that means Arena is the only thing we could potentially still do here, if there's anything in particular we'd like to do there. Ridge, for both voices. Does the Ridge, is that one of the locations that gives a different version of the songs? I didn't remember. That, oh, also I went past it. Or just to make sure that, you know, we get sort of the standard version? Yeah, okay, I see. I see what you're doing then. Okay, In which case, let's get started.
The true Nightwings shall
Alright, so on a Nord side, Worm, Kerr, Savage. Kor's side, Demon that looks rather Orlek-like because it is Orlek. Snadra, the Nomad, as well as Tamitha, the Harp. Alright, we do have a stunning claim, confirmed. Though that is not enough to stop Snadra here from getting it started with a 20 damage plunge. No prayer beads on Snadra, she is gone now. At least for this round. As now is Tamitha, that leaves just Orlek back defensively. And ignore that Rookie. It's a little pokey. Would have expected him to be able to speed past a little more swiftly. Perhaps he does not have as much speed as you would typically see from such a Kerr.
banished all of them.
Gareth, though, opportunity for him for a glorious 28 damage throw. So has something that is boosting his damage there, but we did see a ton of starting Pyre life there. Must be coming from a combination of Orlek's Mastery and also a Talisman. Gareth once again, though, this time going for 13.
Tis taken.
Gareth, when in doubt, choose style, but he is stopped. Snadra's throw for 15, slightly less than her maximum. Gilman, back to Gareth. Gareth taken out. Rookie, trying to bide some time. Here comes Gilman with his valiant return. Tamitha stopped and banished. Now Gareth's turn to clear out a lot of space for another 28 damage throw. Gareth again. Gets rid of it. Banishes one defender. Can't get past the second, though. Quick counterattack from Kor. Plunging for 20 with Tamitha. Rookie. The most stylish man in the downside. Not enough, though, to stop Snadra. Just don't pay no mind to the Flappy Harp nonsense. Gareth taken out. Gilman suddenly by himself. And it's a race to the Pyre. And the stunning claim well timed there. Gareth able to take out the last defender. And now little 360 28 damage throw for good measure. Gareth again. Oh, pushed around, and that actually threw off the accuracy on his throw. He was not initially banished. Just a quick throw there from Kor. But it does drop a Nord down below 20 damage, which means at this point, any of Kor's exiles should have enough damage to finish it with one score, unless Anor has another unexpected Rite Light rekindling source. Orlek stopped, though. Oh, Black Claw. I did not even notice that previously for Snadra. That is significant, no less. Of course, there's always a Cursed Talisman. Question is just on whom. A well-timed stunning claim. And does just enough to give Gareth a chance to come back defensively to make the save. But Gareth is dispossessed. Opening here for Kor to take the win.
Their pyre burns, whilst that of their adversaries is but ash. The rite is done.
GG. Let's head on back. We have a clip of something there.
Until the next rite.
Let's double check which aspect that was. Return. Pamitha stopped and vanished. Now Gareth's turn to clear out a lot of space. Not just, you know, a glorious Gareth score is all. Of course. I mean, it's really just nothing better than just a nice, clean Gareth 28 damage score as well for just that extra little bit of spiciness. All right. Let's reset ourselves here. And is there anything we're looking for on this one? I thought I saw, right as the previous match was going, yeah, we saw an exile request from Failure. But I don't think we ever got the specifications he was looking for. So Failure, it is your time to call the shots here, exiles-wise. Only exiles who have an emote on Lids. Okay, well, hold on. As in Lids Cord or Twitch chat? Because I think there is a difference. I'd have to double check, but I can take a quick peek. Both actually? Okay, let's just verify here. So let's see. Let me pull up emotes just so that we have an obvious display of what are and are not the options for everyone involved here, both in the match and also in chat. Let's see. Emotes. Okay. For the emotes. Pamitha, an option. Are we saying that Logchamp is somebody? who's does Logchamp count? Does Logchamp count as one of the saps, or it's Manly? Okay, so Pamitha, Manly, the Stowaway, the Voice, I don't know. Voice probably doesn't count as anyone, I'm guessing then. Then Snadra, that's a 4th. Tizo is a 5th. Gilman, 6th. Barker, 7th. Boat Magic isn't anyone. Liberation Rite isn't anyone. Orlek, technically, is an option then. And we have Rookie here. We have Gareth. That's actually a long list, just from the emotes. Then add to that list slightly for Discord. 1 second. Let me get this up as well. We're talking Discord 2. What does that add to the list that we don't already have? Now this is a throwback. Before anyone knew how to pronounce Zoxiana's name, we referred to Zoxiana as Fred, but this is Zoxiana, so that's one more. We do also have one for Palmas. Oh, right, no, you said Manly for the Sap Twitch emote. Okay, for the Logchamp. So both Palmas and Manly, both options. We also have Quarterback Manly, and we have Speedy Volfred. So any and all saps are an option. And Snadra, of course. So, that's a whole lot. That's a whole lot of options there. At this point, honestly, it might be easier to just say which ones are not an option, rather than which ones are. So those there are the choices that you have from an exile standpoint. Yeah, I feel like we need to... Let's get this one started, because I feel like it's a little hard to contextualize what was and was not an option there, but yeah, things like no chromes, that'd be useful to take a closer look there. So let's get this started. I think it'll be easier to see what is not an option. I think that's the real question.
The true Nightwings shall now face the Pyre Hearts. Welcome. Who shall conduct the rites?
So all saps are allowed. Which I'm sure Honor is pleased to see. Zoxiana, aka Fred, also an option. Core goes for Luminous Idol on her. Oh, there is a rookie one as well. I don't remember if I showed that, but there is a rookie. Yeah, there's a rookie one and there's a Gareth one as well. I might not have shown those on the Twitch side. Technically, there's also one for each of the Nightwings, but that's a different kind of emote, and we may make exceptions to those. All the Bits ones, the Bits emotes.
Your choice.
Oh, and in chat, you should totally spam whatever emote it is of the corresponding character, if possible.
Hey.
Like so, as demonstrated there by Phaler. Both players go in that route. Spam them! Alright, now who is left? All saps are an option. All saps are an option. Palmas is one that technically exists specifically in Discord, although, you know, the log champ, there's a little room for interpretation there. You could probably call this the log champ if you really wanted to, even if Phaler said it. You know, if we had to put a specific sap on it, we'd call it manly. I think this still qualifies. It's close enough. Okay, although that's borderline a war crime. It's not on Manly, but it's also not on Volfred. It's a very close call there. We definitely have Pamatha emotes, though. If that is the direction that Core opts to go in here. Which he does with Triesta's Plume. Alright, here we go. In the first match ever, we definitely have not had any matches like this before, in which the exiles are based on emotes. And it is the Stowaway getting us started first. Volfred. Speedy Volfred, really. Throwing it in for 7. Speedy Volfred again. Stowaway, throwing it in for 20. Once more. Yeah, true. This is also just the perfect setup for chat to go crazy with the emotes of whatever character is most relevant, given the match circumstances. Old Fred, again, back to the Stowaway. Using some Ninja Savage strats, although Core cutting that off. Ametha, blocked. The one banished. And follows it up for 25 damage there, using Triesta's Plume for a little bit of extra burst. And, however, did not get the Prayer Beads effect that time around, so unlucky for Core. Luminous Idol, blocked though. Anor with it back. In the Stowaway's hands, and oh, well aimed. Just a wall of emotes now. This person scored, this person scored, this person scored, this person scored. Well, it's full, Fred. Oh, and he nearly made it in there. And now Core on the counter. Waiting until he can fly in, and does.
Now then.
Almost. Stowaway. Oh, opening for the Stowaway.
It is done.
To seal the deal.
The true Nightwings prevail.
What is this
They
Pretender
broke aside
Pam
their
emote?
adversaries without too much trouble. Thus ends this
GG.
night's
Stowaway takes it. Spam your moon blushed.
Until the stars align.
Never. Pam Wave is objectively significantly better and actually has the history to back it, whereas Pam Feet does not. Alright, well, tell you what. I'm thinking, well, if there is anyone else who wants to get in who's not yet gotten the chance to play today, this would be possibly our last chance to get you in before we start wrapping things up here, because otherwise, I'm thinking, okay, we can get Phaler in a couple minutes? Okay, great. Otherwise, it's gonna say we might be approaching, our penultimate rite and what have you. Yeah, so we've had Core might have been in for the entire time thus far. So Anor, if you're going to stick around, we could go for some Phaler versus Anor action. Give Core a chance to take a little bit of a break. Thank you, Core, for stopping by. Good to have you.
Let's say thanks, Lids, for coming back. It's really fun.
Oh, well, good to have you back, Cole.
Good to have me back.
Oh, yeah, I
Good
mean,
to be back.
just good to have people here playing some Pyre together, you know?
Yeah, I had a blast. Thanks for coming back.
Okay, let's see. Is Phaler... He's not on Steam at the moment, which you know that means that before I notice his name pop up, he's going to send a request to view the broadcast. He's probably going to beat me to the punch and request to view the broadcast before I can send him an invite. Now, naturally, of course, I've invited him to do so. So you know that's going to happen. I swear he's not there yet, though. He's deceptive. He is deceptive. I mean, he said he needed a couple minutes anyway, I suppose, but that's just how he gets me off guard. He did say 2 minutes. But it was just a way so he could make a sneaky entrance. So let us know, I suppose, if there is anything we'd like to see between Anor and Phaler. Might not have that much time for those two to get... Oh, maybe that means he wasn't there to hear what I was saying before? Hold on. So you're saying there's a chance. Where is he? I beat him. I got it before he got it. I win. Might not have that much time for this Anor versus Phaler matchup here, but we'll give ourselves a few matches here. So let us know if there is anything we'd like to see between Anor and Phaler. And Phaler, once you get in, let's just confirm if Anor is still player 1 or if you have taken player 1's spot. And we'll change Anor back to Nightwings. Okay, let's just confirm. Anor is still player 1? Okay, gotcha. Alright. Gotcha. That's fine. That is not. Anor is back in blue. I feel like, you know, Anor, I can't say whether you're a musician or not, but if you are, I feel like you should make an album with that name. Just something in the back of my head. Makes it seem like that might be a good thing to do.
Okay. Plan remix, top of the charts.
Alright, and then Phaler is coming in with the Fate. There we are. Arumi would listen. And Sandalwood theme is Certain Plan, I think? Is that what it's called? This one? Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, swap that around. No worries. I can do it for you. I went the wrong way. There we go. Okay. Not a musician, but would be nice indeed. I'm just saying, there's an opportunity there. There's an opportunity there for someone to seize upon. Okay. So, any other requests beyond the song? Or are we giving Phaler a little bit of a chance to warm up here before we throw anything too crazy at him? True. Okay. In which case, let's get this one started. Oh, except then I heard someone pressing on something and immediately, oh no, what happened? Oh, customize on and off. Oh, well, you see, Anor did, in fact, turn customize off at the last second there. Okay, then. Phaler. There.
Damn it.
Figured I would have to get you with the space bar.
The Nightwings versus the Fate.
Alright, what do we have? For Anor, it is Demon, Imp, Worm. Phaler is also Demon, though in his case, it is Orlek.
No mercy.
It is Crone, and it is Sap. So Phaler also, not quite to the same extent that we saw a little while ago with a customized off match, but fairly similar, in that he has almost all of the slowest respawn time characters, so he needs to be careful here that he doesn't find himself getting everyone banished, but he does get us started with a 30 damage plunge here. No prayer beads on Bertrand. She is now gone for this round. But here is Orlek moving in. He's blocked. He is banished, though. And now this is the situation Phaler needs to be wary of. Just Volfred back. And if he goes down, and he does, there's a long wait before he gets anyone back. Volfred, though, may have the extra hope. So that did not take that long for him to return. He is still, even without that, would be, I believe, the highest hope character on Phaler's team. But Anor, outside of, I mean, I suppose she has the Worm is certainly quick, so if she's looking to capitalize upon such opportunities, she could do so with the Worm, even if it would be tempting to do so. The higher damage character, oh, speaking of higher damage, that is the case for Orlek. That's extra 3 damage, or extra 8 damage, 7 damage, I should say, with a curve pay. 3rd time's the charm, okay? 30 damage plunge.
Now go on, just once more.
From Bertrand. Anor trying to thread the needle there. Banish without accidentally hitting that sapling and bouncing the cast back at her. Yeah, true. Also, we have a Volfred when we have the Volfred theme playing. That is fitting. It was meant to be. Did we predict the Volfred in that way? Well, Phaler, you know, he's a little bit off target with the plunge, but we'll give it to him. Yeah, who requested the certain plan? Who was it who predicted that? Arumi did? Well done, Arumi. Arumi predicted the Volfred. GG.
Until the next rite.
You apparently, with your certain plan, you predicted that there would be a Volfred. Oh, was that Amberic? Arumi oh, hold on. Anor has tried to give Arumi credit for it, when perhaps it was Amberic after all. I don't know. I don't know who it was. Now I'm not sure who to believe anymore. Somebody predicted. Somebody predicted it. It seems like perhaps it was Amberic. Did Bertrude actually make Jody jump higher? I don't know. I don't know. Alright. Let's reset ourselves. But let us know if there's anything we'd like for the next one. Is Vader once again turning customize on and off when we least expect it? Oh no, he's switching teams when we least expect it. Okay, hold on. Customize off once again. As for which team Phaler will be, and as to whether he will actually have that customize off or not, that remains to be seen. Mind games with Phaler. Let Phaler cook.
The Night Wings.
Well, we're on the boat.
Take on the
And Anor has a demon. Phaler, what was that last exile?
commence.
Was a sap. Okay. So at least Anor, able to partake of some of the boat magic goodness, if she would like to. She is using the Stowaway, a savage, as well as Udmilda, and of course Ignarius here. 1 sap, 2 worms, in the case of Phaler. That looks like a rather speedy Palmas.
Indeed.
Gilman, speaking of speedy, he is stopped though. Phaler defenseless, and Anor quick enough with Ignarius. Deluge. Sidesteps. Not the second time though. Stowaway. Blocks. Has it back. Udmilda stopped there. Oh, and the Stowaway went flying that time. Means plenty time and space for Phaler here. Was perhaps debating whether he wanted to throw it in once Anor got back or not. Must mean Anor has a Typhoon bottle then. 25 damage on that plunge from Anor's Crone.
Good.
Ignarius, blocked. Banishes 1 defender. Has it back. Does she look for the boat magic to the extreme? Whoa, wow, she had a lot of height on that one. Does set up the score, but you do have to wonder if she had initiated that from the full length of the arena. You know, could she have pulled that off from the backmost puddle? Perhaps she could have. She had a lot of height on that. Phaler had a quick 7 damage throw, looking to follow that up with something similar here. Anor checking for that Crone Salute, did not have it. But Phaler does have Rekindling. Second life bar has 10 on it. And Anor now is Croneless. Here comes Ignarius.
And it is done.
And he takes it.
The Night Wings prevail. Their adversaries did not even come close.
GG. What a boat team indeed.
The rite is complete.
Alright. Carried by the best class on the boat. Indisputably,
Until the stars align.
the demons. Alright, I'm thinking this one may end up being our penultimate one here before we go into our Liberation Rite. So if there is anything that we would like in particular to see or do or hear before we go into that liberation rite. This may very well be our last chance to make that happen. So let's see. Core is requesting both Exiles, Arena, and is that Core doing Talisman as well? And he's just saying, let him cook? As in, just let the players take whatever? Just to stop other people from taking things? From locking the players into something? Seems as though that's what Core is going for here, for everything. I don't know, I mean, Phaler at this point is running the risk of me pressing the go button when he has momentarily either switched his team or turned Customize off. Now I'm also deliberately trying to bait him into doing this when I press the button. Oh. Not quite. Not quite.
Not this time.
The Night Wings shall confront the fate.
Alright. Oh, wait, what? Anor had Customize still turned off?
Who shall
Was Anor doing it as well?
the rites?
Hold on. Don't think that was intended. There we go. I forgot. I got so distracted by Phaler turning his Customize on and off that I did not even realize that Nor's was still off.
The Night Wings shall confront the fate.
Well, this could be interesting though.
Welcome.
Oh, was there was an actual Glade request though? Was there actually a Glade request? My bad.
Who shall
My bad.
the Night Wings shall take on the fate. Welcome.
Alright, in that case, now we have ourselves the first match in a very long time in which we have both players taking their preferred setups, whatever they'd like to here. It's a quick throwing stowaway first for Nor. And it is a quick throwing ninja Almer in the first spot for Phaler, so similar leads. Then an Orko's Super Portal Webbed Lanthorn Tizo. Phaler goes Prayer Beads Dalbert. For Nor, it is a power casting Headwind in the last spot. Whereas on Phaler's side, goes for Raji. And that is a full Fate team for Phaler. Once upon a time, one of his go-to teams. Nowadays, it feels like you tend to see him take 2 out of the 3, but not the full Fate squad. But of course, both players with those Ninja Savages very rarely see the orb unclaimed, as both players able to quickly teleport onto it, as Anor demonstrates there. Although Phaler, with a quick counterattack, Almer once again. And Anor this time anticipating that Phaler would teleport to the orb and proactively casts over at it to take out Almer. Now the stowaway. She's blocked though. Almer again for Phaler. Intercepted, but not now banished. Edwin tried to pass it back, only for his teammate to get banished. Now suddenly everyone gone, at least until Dalbert comes back. But he's taken out. And an Or quick with that throw from the stowaway, landing for 20. Taylor's throw intercepted, although series of banishments leaves just the stowaway for an Or. Although able to outmaneuver the defenders there to set up a nifty 20 damage throw. And both Savages taking each other out. But Dalbert, first to the orb and first to plunge after that. Once again, a matter of Savage versus Savage, and Phaler winning out. This time they both take each other out, but Phaler picks up the scraps and picks up the winning plunge as well.
Their adversaries confidently thwarted.
GG.
The rite is done.
All right. Well played, you two.
Until the stars align.
And with that one, I think it is time. I think it is time to head to the Fall of Solium, turn that sermon intro on, give us the never to return version of whoever is player 2. In this case, that would be Phaler with the Fate. And we will have our final rite of the night, our Liberation Rite. No requests from chat for this one. Both players taking their preferred teams to finish things off in style. So, if both of you are ready, let us begin.
Hear me, exiles. You are gathered at the Fall of Solium. Here you shall be tested by your adversary. May further shame befall whomever fails. Night Wings, stand ready. The Fate, stand ready. Who shall stand together here this night?
Alright, and as we said, this will be our final rite of the night, our Liberation Rite at the Fall of Solium. A Nor on the left representing the Nightwings. No requests from chat, so she will take whoever she would like here. And that means it'll be a Prayer Beads Pamitha in the first spot for her. On Phaler's side, did see him lead with a Ninja Ulmer of the quick throwing variety in the previous match. But that was against a similar Exile with a Nor's lead. Does he choose to adapt? No, it will remain the same. Anor. Nutrition Stick, Volfred, full left side. So no rekindling, but does have the Numbing Gust to slow Phaler to a grinding halt. Whenever everyone is banished on Anor's side, he'll be unable to sprint, jump, throw, or use any of their special abilities. Phaler, of course, previously chose a Ninja Savage of the quick throwing variety with Ulmer. Now goes for the banishing throws with a Ninja Savage with the Stowaway. It's a very aggressive approach from Phaler. Which Anor will answer with a speedy Jodium. Final selection here for Phaler. He's checked the scouting report. And the scouts say that means a full rekindling sap, and here we are with our final run of the night. Anor on left representing the Nightwings, Failure on the right representing the fate. Best of luck to you both. There it is. GG.
To their adversaries in the end. Thus
It is good to be
ends
back.
the Liberation
Thanks for the
Rite.
stream, Vids.
That was, of course, the Liberation Rite, our final rite of the night. Thank you, everybody who participated in the rite today. Thank you, everybody who gave us the requests in chat as well. That will be all. So let us free these two from the prison of Steam Remote Play. They know the deal. They're already out. No worries. Let me just throw this screen on here, because that was, as we were just saying, the final rite of the night, our Liberation Rite. Thank you, everybody who participated in the rite today, and everybody gave us the request today in chat as well. This was, of course, Pyre Community Rite Night, the place for all things multiplayer Pyre. If you're interested in getting more involved in multiplayer Pyre, then the best way to do so is by joining the Rite Club Discord server, which you can do by clicking on this link right here. My name is Lids. I'm hosting these Rite Nights. Our streaming schedule nowadays is Fridays is Mass Effect Andromeda the Campaign. Saturdays is Mass Effect 3 Multiplayer. Sundays, this right here, Rite Night. Then on YouTube, Lids is there as well, posting the VODs for all those streams, so if you missed anything, you can catch that stuff there. Also doing some Gwent videos, the Witcher-themed card game, new events that come out every week, as well as some Thronebreaker, the Gwent campaign. Then if you haven't done so yet already, of course, you can also hit the follow button to get notification for when I'm live. Also follow me on Twitter, @LidsVids. I was there when I'm live as well, but actually the best place to stay up to date with all things Lids is by joining my own Discord, which you can do by clicking on that link right there. That's going to be it for me for tonight, so thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the stream, and I'll catch you next time.